A very good morning, and it's great to see that the chai counter outside is stopped. So I have a full audience, and I'm hopefully able to regale you with a little bit of fun here, so that we can have a wonderful 15 minutes which I have here. So first of all, thank you to the Indian Express Group, Uttarakhand Tourism Development Board, with which we work very closely, to have me here. And what I am going to discuss is something, we've been talking adventure, of course, things like rafting and mountaineering and all that comes to mind. But what I am going to discuss is a word, astrotourism. Somebody asked me, so Mr. Ray, what do you do? I said, I run an astrotourism company. And I am now used to it, people saying, what, astrotourism? So it's a great occasion. I think I end up being the chief evangelist, pushing this envelope. We started almost 7 to 8 years back from a small town in Uttarakhand called Kausani. So it's a startup in that sense, which was born in Kausani, where I have a lovely home. But today it is across India, and I'm happy to say that it's now in Sri Lanka from October. So it's now gone abroad with this product. But what we are going to talk about is astrotourism, and it brings these wonderful images to life of Uttarakhand. Everybody knows, I'm sure, Kartik Swami Temple. This was one of the places which we had this. And what I'm going to cover, obviously, is what is Nakshatra Sabha, what was the learnings, and what is this astrotourism all about, what's its potential, and where it can lead Uttarakhand to. So when we talk astronomy, obviously, the first thing which comes to mind is the telescope and someone looking at the sky, right? It's been there for years. Galileo invented it in 1600. So what is it that it's become a tourism product? And I'll be invited to be talking to all the stalwarts here of adventure tourism. I'm not, in that sense, from the tourism industry. I've been someone who was in corporate selling Nokia phones and ended up having a midlife crisis and started his own venture, which is more out of my passion. So from there, how do you make this looking up through a telescope, which has been there all across? Why would it suddenly lead to 23 million people pinging Nakshatra Sabha? So that's, I think, been a wonderful journey, which we need to understand. Hopefully some of those images caught your attention. Now let's go to the brass tacks of it, if I may. What I'm going to cover here is 3 parts of the aspect. One is astrotourism, which is the overarching part of it. Nakshatra Sabha as a product, which is a subset of that. And what's the future in it? And where do we need to make it regular and go forward? Yeah. So if you kind of just Google, for those who don't know what it is, this is what will emerge. It is a tourism product for the purpose of viewing astronomical phenomena, especially stars, meteor showers, and other visible things. This is what is there globally as understood. But when we sat down here and started working at it in our observatories, by the way, just for your knowledge, Starscapes was born not as an event organizer, but we run the largest, arguably India's largest private chain of observatories. We started with one in Kausani, we went to Mukteshwar, Corbett, Coorg, Pondicherry, Goa, Ranthambore, Chittagad, all across. So we are one of those who have been at it 24/7 right from 2017. So in that sense, we understood that it's not just about giving a telescope and showing the Jupiter, which anybody can do, but we had to create something which is uniquely Indian and also an experience when we started Nakshatra Sabha, which is uniquely Uttarakhand. So what is that? Now, many journeys in life, a quick recap, we go through these journeys and many of the times I don't think we knew that what will emerge. So I want to kind of spend a bit of time on these 4 images, these tiles, which came together. What you see on the right side is someone lying down and looking up at the stars. That's what I used to do when I was an 8-year-old in Delhi, on the rooftops of Moti Bagh, those who know Delhi, after spraying water because we didn't have air cons in our home. But the beauty is, we siblings could be together, father could be with us, and we would hear stories about Saptarishi or count the shooting stars. I'm sure any one of you will have, if you close your eyes and imagine that, doing that with your child. Life took me in the corporate across the world, forgot all about it. And then, what you see, the image on the left, I was privileged to be living 4 years in Finland, and I started enjoying auroras. I would take my Nokia colleagues out. We would just lie down under the stars, have some beers, and enjoy the sky. That was one experience which lived with me. The third, what happened yesterday, Shubhanshu Shukla went to space, right? Imagine us being called on TV channels to talk about it today. But why? When we were small, Rakesh Sharma did that. Today, space is cool. Elon Musk has made it cool. It's going into private zones. There are hundreds of startups in India which are building satellites. So it's no more a small nerdy activity being done on the side. It's mainstream. That's another thing which we understood that could be bought as a product together with this. And therefore, we started what you see on the right side, an observatory with our own converted, don't think of a dome. It was the Indian jugaad, a lot of rains, so we thought of a tiled roof. This is how we started it. But for Uttarakhand, we combined that with a very important part, which is culture. Lot of you would come across, oh, I am born and brought up in so-and-so, constellation. I am born in so-and-so time. You would have heard of calendars, Ashok Samvat, Saka Samvat. You would have heard of, temples which have a certain, the sun is coming down. But you're not able to link the science behind it. As we delved deeper, and we worked with the top doctorates in India, with ARIES, with Indian Institute of Astrophysics, IUCA, planetariums, and we started building the content. For each of the locations, we looked at what could be unique in terms of the content we could build, which is the story beyond looking through the telescopes. So for example, if I ask you what's your birth date, and I invite you on that particular date, and I give you a photograph of the stars with the constellation you were born in, you suddenly have a personal touch about it. It is no more something which someone has told you, but you are able to then link those things which you hear in your culture, in your stories, with something which is uniquely personal. And that's what we set out to do. This is, of course, a beautiful shot of the star trails over Kartik Swami temple. And linked to this, another thing which we took up is very passionately is dark sky leadership. We can't be doing this tourism without anything which is about dark skies. Now, why is Uttarakhand great for it? All the things which we say is an infrastructural problem to tourism sometimes works greatly here. It's an incremental product. It allows people to dine, the hoteliers to spend extra because someone is coming in the evening. There was nothing to do at that particular time. So they get extra revenue. Secondly, it is okay to work it in small villages and small locations. It does not need extra huge infrastructure to be built. The very fact that Uttarakhand has 70% plus forest cover works brilliantly for us. So those things which don't otherwise work for a state in normal tourism, it's a win-win for this kind of a product. And that's where another plus point we saw. By the way, there was a small word, 100 lookups. That's the number of people. I say look up is one of the things that we all are constantly walking, looking up, down at our mobile phones. But that's what we try to encourage. Because all our shows, if you look at the mobile phone, you can't see the star. So for those 45 minutes, you forget your mobile phone and you and you end up looking up. That's the number of people we touch every year. 100,000 people at the moment, and my dream is to take it to 1 million. Now, we were niche, we are still, we were small, and I'm sure after coming here I understand we are quite unknown still. Now, still, however, small steps happened. There's a typo here on the second. Our first event happened because a district magistrate in Chamoli saw an article and gave me a call way back in December 21. That was the first event which we did in Benital. Post that, we had a successful larger event done. Actually, it was May of 23, where we got media and we got all that. And today, if you search Benital, I'm very happy to say it'll pop up as an Astro Village for you. So there was a linking there. And then the third thing which happened was where we finally, the Uttarakhand tourism government actually saw that this is something very unique and this is something the government could be a leader in across India. And I'm very thankful that we kind of worked this through. Nakshatra Sabha is a word coined by Uttarakhand Tourism Development Board. It's not my personal naming, but we are very happy to be the executor, the creator, the, let's say the director of it till the end of it. We went across to multiple locations. We chose it consciously based on footfalls, light pollution, accessibility, and possibilities to do it far away. Some are more closer, some are little far away. We started with Mussoorie because it was easy to do a media launch here. We did it at Jageshwar, a little away from the temple. Now, one thing I must mention, the focus here was the work done by George Everest and Sikdar. So we actually made people look at how to do those trigonometric equations by which they measured height with us, so that we brought alive that location and its knowledge. When we go to Jageshwar, we worked on temple architecture. The fact is, most temples in India, you will see a pillar. I don't know how many of us know what that pillar is. I also didn't know till I understood that when the temple was being laid out, the way to know the degrees in 1500, 2000 years would be put a stick, get the sun rays to come in, you get the northeast, west, south, measure out the 360 degrees based on the movement of the sun, and basis that you decide which deity to put where the angle of the door will be, and the whole architectural planning of the temple would come out. Great knowledge. And that's where we had someone like Dr. Shailaja, who is the foremost scientist in this, to come and address that gathering. And that's what enriched that whole event. Benital, lesser said the better, one of the NGT supported sites. It's actually protected, because of which you get this wonderful Milky Way vista on this part of it. Takula, and you can see the light pollution of Nainital. It's a little away from Nainital, but this is what happens, and I put this slide to show that if you see Benital and then you see Takula, that's what happens in terms of when light pollution takes over. District of Rudraprayag, but that's Kartik Swami temple, where we ended up doing the event. And then we were talking about Garhs, so we went to Pithoragarh, where we took Gurkha Fort as the background to do an event. Now, why did it work? And why it works is, in my opinion, I'll share some stats with you. All of you are with me till now? Hello? Okay? Okay, cool. Thank you so much. So one is, you heard about the fact that we created the product, not just put telescopes, right? So there's this content, the culture mix. What do you do? We actually discussed dark sky wildlife. I was discussing with somebody from Ladakh. If you have too much light pollution, you don't have moths. If you don't have moths, you won't have birds of the night. If you don't have them, you don't have the predatory birds. You don't have moths, you don't have pollination. So there is, beyond our senses of those 12 hours of the day, there's a whole ecosystem out there. So we work with this community to also drive that. So bringing all these together, we kind of created a unique product. Location, of course, critical. It has to be accessible. I don't believe it can't be accessible. look, the best skies in India are Spiti and Ladakh, but everybody can't go there. So what can we do in places which is 3 to 4 hours away from a, place like Dehradun or a flight away, that we can still find locations, may not be the level of Ladakh Spiti, where you can see a Milky Way with the naked eye, but much better than Delhi, where you can see 2.5 stars, if you're lucky. Then we got stakeholders. While I have put a famous influencer here, Gul Panag, we had, as I said, scientists, ARIES, director, IIA, IUCA, all institutes which kind of contributed to this to make it work. Finally, thanks to the tourism board and the way it was structured, we understood our community, and the government worked with us closely in a collab of various, where they allowed us to mine that community, where we as experts would explain what to do. We as experts would ensure that all the people coming to these sabhas were taken care of, and the funneling was managed accordingly. The numbers speak for itself. You can go online, you can see testimonials. Google doesn't lie. There's not so much I can do beyond that. Now where did we end? Another typo here. It's 23 million impressions, 1.5 million views on one single post which went viral. We had a huge global national media coverage thanks to the support from the Uttarakhand Tourism, which provided us that overarching sponsorship. We do a no waste, no trace left behind, which means we take photographs, we work with the local panchayats, we take photographs, we see what is the space, we clean it up, and that's how we leave it. And we submit those photographs back to the Tourism Development Board. And unless I make a mistake, the fact is, if I make a mistake, my money won't come. It's as simple as that. Now, what's ahead? You see the word 25 plus certified astro guides. How do we institutionalize this movement? We've kind of reached here. One of the things which we are seeing is emerging local players, which is very good. We see some new companies, we see some new entrants in this field. But there is incremental revenue which they are earning. We do see balanced regional development because we are able to move traffic to these smaller places. And we do see an interest in dark sky conservation. But how do we institutionalize this? Which is where now we are working with the government here to actively see how we can do this for the next 2 to 3 years, because the podha is still very small, it's still very niche, and just left like this, it won't survive. So how do we ensure that the rest of the districts and source locations together are kind of supported? We also are actively now working to identify ghost villages and move them to become astro villages. Dark sky spots, which anyway there is migration happened. There is not much employment there. People don't want to, be staying there, but this is an ideal product for them. Towards this, thanks to, again, Poonam ma'am here, we have worked with her for 2 years now. We have now got the India's first Astro Guide training skill program approved by the THSC, Tourism Hospitality Skill Council. And Uttarakhand state government is the first one which has put up its hand and will be training 500 Astro Guides. Now, why is this important? Because as the industry mushrooms, if the core quality goes, then we know what will happen. It will be proliferated. It will go back to the first slide, only a telescope with no other aspect of it, and that will kind of kill the product. So which is why we are working to develop these as a institutional kind of a program. So that's it. We are shooting for the moon. So hopefully we have some more from here, converts, who are evangelists, and they would work with us to take it forward. Thank you so much. And since I was just pre-lunch, I am quite sure I got some of your attention. Thank you so much.